All right, call the meeting to order. First of all, we'll have roll call, I guess.
Yeah. Miss Allen?
Here.
Miss Conan?
Here.
Miss Redden?
Here.
Mrs. Lamacchia?
Here.
Mr. Hendon?
Here. This is the annual meeting, and we have election of officers. Am I supposed to go through this?
Okay, we'll just start, I nominate Monica Conan for president. Somebody's got to second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, somebody needs to get,
I nominate for Vice President Elizabeth H. Lamacchia.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we need somebody.
I nominate Karen Clemens for secretary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, the committee assignments, facilities, finance, and audit is Robert Hendon, Chair, Nadine Allen, Diane Cunningham Redden. Human Resources, Nadine Allen, Chair, Karen Clemens, Elizabeth Lamacchia. Operations, Diane Cunningham Redden, Chair, Karen Clemens, Robert Hendon. Technology, Karen Clemens, Chair, Diane Cunningham Redden, and a new board member. Strategy, Elizabeth Lamacchia, Chair, Robert Hendon, and new board member. Development, Elizabeth Lamacchia, Nadine Allen, and a new board member.
Okay. I think we need a
We need a
motion.
motion to,
Make a motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Now we have a report of the Human Resources Committee, Nadine Allen.
I'd had down here that Eva Jane Romaine Coon, Director's Report, is ahead of mine, but is it?
This is the annual meeting,
annual
so
meeting.
that's
So we're
okay,
having-
yeah,
We're doing it, all right.
yeah.
The Human Services Committee met December 4th. Committee Chair Nadine Allen and committee members Elizabeth Lamacchia and Karen Clemens, as well as Board President Robert Hendon, were in attendance. Staff members Paula Bremheger and Kyla Hardin were also in attendance. It is the recommendation of the committee that the board take the following action: appointment of fiscal officer and deputy fiscal officer, appointment and salary of the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Director. 1, appoint Molly DeFosse, Okay. Chief Finance and Facilities Officer as fiscal officer. The board approved a stipend of $5,000 annually for the duty of the fiscal officer for Ms. DeFosse. 2, appoint Alicia Sanders, Senior Financial Analyst, as Deputy Fiscal Officer. Ms. Sanders receives no additional compensation for serving in this capacity. Continue the appointment of Paula Bremheger as Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Director at an annual base salary of $237,494.40 for 2020. But for 2020, because there are 27 pay periods, we suggest an annual rate of $246,628.80 to accommodate the extra payroll for the year. All staff will likewise be paid for 27 pays in 2020. Move
Thank
for,
you.
We need a second.
I move for accept?
We have a second for
Second.
that? All in favor?
Aye.
Annual appropriations. Facilities and Finance Audit Committee, Nadine Allen again.
Okay.
Or Molly.
The-
Yeah, do you want Molly to run through that one, because we
This
don't
is
have-
I wonder how many numbers can we?
Yeah. And
Can I
Mr.
say-
Moran had been the chair of this one, so Molly, yeah.
Molly, Ms. DeFosse, take it over.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quick. The Ohio Department of Taxation has set our 2020 PLF receipts at $41,793, or $793,176, and Hamilton County has estimated the property tax levy receipts at $37,211,623. Using these amounts, the total resources are estimated to be $82,035,035,035,000. So that table there presents what the carry forward is estimated at the end of the year, along with the PLF money, the tax money, additional income of a little over $3 million, for a total of estimated at $96,535. The It is recommended that the 2020 general fund appropriations be set at $88,265,000, distributed as follows. The 2020 budget was prepared incorporating merit increases based on performance. Overall, the general fund appropriations, excluding transfers and one-time salary expenses associated with the 27 pays in 2020, are approximately 2.5% greater than the original 2019 appropriations. The increase is primarily the result of budgeted merit increase for staff for 2020, an increase in the library materials appropriation to account for cost of electronic materials, increased expenses associated with contracted security, and anticipated capital expenditures related to technology. The general fund also includes funding to supplement Employee Ohio Library Council dues up to 50% of the membership cost. The next is the table of appropriations broken out by category. In the general fund, estimated resources and appropriations have been prepared for the special revenue, capital, and permanent trust funds. These are attached on Exhibit A. The trust fund principal is a total of $6,755,228 are excluded from permanent fund balances. This table right here represents the general fund, the building and repair fund, the special revenue funds, and the permanent funds. It does include a $22.5 million capital transfer from the general fund to the building and repair fund. Special revenue and permanent fund appropriations include routine spending as well as appropriations for the Armstrong Fund to be used as necessary and working towards our strategy of becoming a top workplace in the area, support in the community engagement process, both which may include the purchase of refreshments and to supplement the tuition assistance plan. And then it's recommended that the board accept these appropriations.
I have a question. How
Yeah.
much of these estimated property tax set in stone?
It's set in stone.
It's-
That's
it's-
what we did that at the October board meeting.
Yeah,
That's what they've given us.
And they've
Yes.
confirmed it since
Yeah,
then.
it's actually, that's what
So-
they've anticipate collecting. This year collections were probably about 800,000 more than that number, so that's
That's up.
kind of the minimum.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
confirmed, okay.
On that same point, I think I read something that they would not really have a full number until May, something, for some reason. Nothing about that, the tax.
Property tax collections.
Yes.
Well, property taxes are collected in, they're due in February, and we get them either in April or May. We'll get our first
Okay.
distribution, and our second distribution we get in August.
Oh, okay. So
But
this
like
is
I said,
another
this
one.
year, both distributions came in over
I see.
estimates. And actually, we just found out PLF came in another 200,000 over what our final estimate
okay.
was, so this was a good year.
Then move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, annual meeting responsibilities. Finance, Facilities and Finance and Audit Committee, who's going to give this report? Nadine Allen?
Molly can talk through it again, I know, it's all new,
We do this
yeah.
one every year.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Do you want to, I mean,
Oh, you usually do it?
no, I don't usually do
Oh,
it.
okay, I can read it.
It's, yeah, there's nothing new in it,
Right.
yeah.
This is the public official bond, section 3375.32 of the Ohio Revised Code requires a library fiscal officer to execute a bond in an amount and with surety to be approved by the board, payable to the board, and conditioned for the faithful performance of the official duties required. In accordance with that statute, it is recommended that new public official bonds be executed in the name of Molly DeFase, Fiscal Officer, and Alicia Sanders, Senior Financial Analyst, Deputy Fiscal Officer, each in the amount of $500,000 for terms commencing December 31st, 2019, and ending December 31st, 2020. Resolution authorization for bank accounts, the annual change of officers of the board, and the annual appointment of a fiscal officer requires notification to our banking service providers. In addition, they require a resolution of the board assigning the authority for financial transactions. It is requested that the board adopt the resolution attached as Exhibit A, which is based on the following provisions of the Ohio Revised Code. Per ORC 3375.32, the board shall elect a fiscal officer who shall serve for a term of 1 year. ORC 3375.36 states that the board may adopt a deputy fiscal officer. Ohio Revised Code 3375.35 states in part that no monies credited to a free public library shall be paid out except on a check signed by the fiscal officer of the board having jurisdiction over said monies and the president, vice president, or secretary of said board. The library traditionally has designated the fiscal officer and president as co-signers on all checks. Both signatures are applied through a secure check signing system. Ohio Revised Code 3375.36 states that the fiscal officer shall be the treasurer of the library funds. ORC further states that all duties relating to the monies to the credit of or to be credited to a board of library trustees of a free public library shall be complied with by dealing with the fiscal officer of such board. On the basis of these two broad authorizations, the library fiscal officer and by written designation, the deputy fiscal officer have been authorized to transfer funds between library accounts and to buy and sell investments. The library's investment policy, approved by the board on October 13, 2015, establishes these responsibilities as well. Further, it will be impractical to require a board member's signature for these routine transactions. Our bankers also need to know who was authorized to enter into contracts and agreements. As previously established, the attached resolution designates that the fiscal officer and the president or vice president jointly are authorized. Finally, the proposed resolution states that the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe director or fiscal officer is authorized to sell donated stock. Resolution authorization for 2020 tax levy advances. The first settlement of annual property tax receipts generally is not complete until May. That's where I read that. But the Hamilton County Auditor makes advance payment of the taxes collected and held in the county treasury. However, an advance will only be processed when the organization's governing body has passed an initial blanket resolution and the authorized official formally requests each advance in writing. It is requested that the board adopt the following resolution to this purpose, which is based on the form suggested by the county auditor. Resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payment of taxes is pursuant to Ohio Revised Code. Whereas the Ohio Revised Code allows for a request for advance payments from the county auditor funds derived from taxes or other resources to the county treasurer, which may be held on account of a local subdivision. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County, Section 1, that the auditor and the treasurer of Hamilton County, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, be requested to draw and pay to the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County upon the written request of Molly DeFosse, fiscal officer, to the county auditor, funds due in any settlement of 2019 derived from taxes or other sources payable to the county treasurer to the account of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County and lawfully applicable for purposes of the fiscal year January through December 2020. Section 2, that the fiscal officer of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County shall forward to the county auditor a certified copy of this resolution. These matters are submitted for review and appropriate action. And there is an attached resolution stating the above. And I will continue.
That's
Do I
all
need
in
a
the
motion at
banking
this point?
resolution. That's all in the banking one.
Okay, so I need a motion to,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
and attached is the resolution, which will be signed by the appropriate
Yeah,
parties.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're done with that.
All right. Motion to adjourn the annual meeting? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Annual meeting is adjourned. Now we move on to somewhere.
Yeah, right.
It's on here somewhere, but you need to flip, it's not like flipping pages.
I have a lot of other clips over here.
Now we go to the meeting of the member of the Public Library Foundation.
Yeah, yes.
All right, meeting of the member of the Public Library Cincinnati of Hamilton County Foundation. Call the meeting to order.
This one's just a little weird.
All right,
Yeah. It's just the approval of the minutes.
Yeah.
all right. Do I have an amendment, a motion to approve
Move to
the
approve
minutes?
the minutes.
Second?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes have been approved.
And then we need to do the code of regulation changes, so that will also require a motion as well.
And those
They're follow, if you scroll on down, they say Exhibit 2 is the code of regulation. And that's there as well. And they're just the new,
Okay,
yeah.
move that we accept.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
So there's a change there in the exhibit. If you go on down, you'll see it all.
Is that it?
I think that is it.
All right. Motion to adjourn that meeting?
We have the officer, or the directors, the election of directors.
Is that on the attachment?
It's
Let me look. Oh,
it should be the second page.
let me see.
Election of directors.
Second page.
Let me look.
Oh, election of,
Yeah, okay. I probably just,
We went through it looking for the code of
Yeah.
whatever,
yeah,
code of regulations.
Do we read
Yeah,
that? or
here it
just
is.
let it go?
yeah. Do you need us to read it, or you can just approve it if you'd like?
All right, can we just approve the election of directors?
So move to approve the directors.
All in favor?
Okay. Now we have to do the Library Records Commission meeting.
Do you want me to do this real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. The minutes just say no action was taken at the last meeting, so we just need, we can approve this together. And then, yeah, I know, well, we're working on that. And then the report is basically, we approve the minutes, and at this point, there's no action to take,
Yeah,
there's
there's
nothing we
just
need to do.
4
So-
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
we can.
moved.
All in favor?
All right.
It's passed.
Did you get all that, Molly?
I got all
You caught all of that? Okay.
Got that. Right, we've got
Right.
that meeting.
Now we'll go back to the regular meeting.
Yes.
All right. Do we have public comments? No public
Oh,
comment.
we need to call it
Oh,
order.
yeah.
Call to order, call the meeting to order. Do we need roll call?
Yeah, we do need roll call again. Okay, Miss Allen? Here. Miss Conan? Here. Miss Redden? Here. Mrs. Lamacchia?
Here.
Mr. Hendrick?
Here. All right, there being no public comments, we'll move to the Eva Jane Remain Coombe Director's Report.
All right. Hi, everyone. Happy end of 2019. We do have a guest here who is going to kick things off. So once again, we brought back David Schnee for his presentation of our facilities master plan. And before we turn things over to David to talk with all of you, I just wanted to make sure that I thanked everyone for their hard work. It's been a really active year on the facilities front. Many people in this room have been very supportive, and I thank you all. And I do want to give a special shout out to all of the trustees, of course, because we had a number of engagement sessions over the summer, and I think we had a trustee at maybe 80 to 85% of them. So I really appreciate everybody's time around that too. So David, come on up.
Thank you, Paula. Mr. President, honorable trustees, it's a privilege to be before you again. I think this is our 6th presentation here. Paula said I should keep it under 2 hours. Trying to keep it, I was actually told, I had a slide deck that was much shorter than that, but I was told to try to do it in 5 minutes. Our agenda today is to...
I think you need to hit for your display, and I will decrease mine. There you go.
Great. So our agenda today is to conclude the facility master planning effort with a capsule presentation of the facility master plan. You should all have a semi-final hard copy draft here, and the final digital one is also on file at the library. And it will soon be posted online, and the presentation I'm about to give in super capsule form. If you want to go into greater detail, I hope those listening online will enjoy reading the report. All of the slides we've presented over these 6 meetings before, so I'm going to just sort of call out their headers of them and sort of the key points of them. The second part will be to talk about, now that this effort is done, how do we move into the implementation phase and continue to support that. So it was a year-long process. We are now at the very end of it. The product is this master plan, which comes in 3 parts. This is the first part of it. We'll show you this. The guiding principles were the foundation for this effort. I think this is acting weird again. 1 second. quickly go to my slideshow and turn off the music. And the principles were underlying this, as Paula mentioned, the 90-plus meetings, all of your engagement, and the thousands of people who gave input here are fantastic. Oh, as I'm looking at the rest of the audience, so I need to call out my rest of my team here. So Jay Derenthal, our collaborators here, principal with Champlin, and Jill Ayers, my business partner and senior associate, and Daniel LaRasa here. These are just a few of the many people, both at Champlin and Group 4, who have been supporting all of the tremendous support by PLCH and community members. So the reason for doing all this engagement is to hear what is the importance and relevance of the library. We heard many, many important things that have shaped our plan, which very much aligned with the board principles here as well, and what our vision for the future. The vision is bright. The library has a very storied past and is going to have a continued, very, very relevant present and a grand future that is worth engaging with and investing in. We talked about the importance of equity, which is different than equality, as this lovely graphic shows. And the library is now, service is not just the old bricks and mortar and only the old Carnegie libraries, but is the experiences in the buildings, the libraries, the outreach services embedded, and all the digital experiences, the virtual, the digital collections, and how that is all together. And that was a big part of our analysis here, and Carson Block was one of our team members for that. The needs you know so well are extensive, and we supplemented the sort of summaries of those, looking at the ages of all the facility, the darker red, older than the green, some of the more recent investments, but also looking at the accessibility needs, a key measure of equity and service, and beyond the fundamental, can you get into the building or not? There are other ones that have sort of secondary accessibility challenges as well. Part of this was evaluating the main library and what this much loved and heavily used facility is, what people's visions for taking it further into the next generation uses, and needing to improve poor wayfinding, and particularly the Vine Street entry being not a reflection of the wonderful customer service and experience here, which has just been a failure of design, and looking for everyone is so appreciative of us identifying and hearing issues with this and planning on making investments to improve it. Part of the work was to do system design, and we mapped where customers use and looked at what libraries they use and travel patterns. And similar to a gentleman who I met at the open house down below, he's 8 libraries. Why 8 libraries? Because he goes to where his father lives, his mother, his sister, his 2 brothers, cousins. He knows where all the libraries are. It's a whole system for it. We find that over half of your customers use regularly 2 or more libraries. Also, as part of that analysis, we understood that we determined that you have excellent geographic coverage, and you have significantly more numbers of facilities, 40 branches, than your peer libraries. You need no net new libraries here. So we're not building 41, 42, 43, 44. 40 is plenty. As part of the system design work, we were able to help evaluate equity by looking at different geographic regions, the 5 shown in this map, and realized that services and as measured through available space and the types of space available isn't equitably delivered yet here. So the west and north central areas are ones that can use more space than the other areas. But we're looking also to find ways to get 21st century, actually what we're calling next generation spaces now throughout all areas where we can. We love our poodles or dogs, and it's not seeing a poodle on this here, but talking about the different scales of libraries. Right now there isn't a clear sense of small to big. How do we understand what you can get at them? It's sort of one size doesn't fit all here. Amazing things go on, and then looking to organize it with this typology of focused neighborhood, next generation, and the big dogs, bigger next generation here. None of these being too big. As we looked, per the board mandate, we were asked to explore not just how to spend issue 3 funds, but what is the comprehensive needs here. And we found that they were to be 300 to 350 million in today's dollars. This is 50 million up from before. Last time I presented it was for facility design changes only. For design projects, it didn't include funds that we've estimated for capital maintenance. That's why this number is higher. So the issue 3 funds of approximately 140 million make a significant investment. So from that, the issue 3 funds will be available over 10 years. Each year, an installment of it. We wish we could spend it all right away, but we have to patiently plan out the rollout of these projects. And in that, there will be 14 projects. Libraries will undergo, branches will undergo a design project, 10 will undergo critical capital maintenance, and all others will receive strategic investments. And anyone watching online to see the status, go to this the library's website. These categories are the strategic investments, select, focus, special scope, and there's going to be a streamlined process staff is developing for what these can be, similar to a laptop kiosk, which really allow mobile technology that leverages your existing spaces. Capital maintenance speaks for itself, from roofing, waterproofing, mechanical systems. These are important investments here. Each of those locations will also get a strategic investment, and a very capable facilities team here will be coordinating that. The branch design projects, from makeovers to renovations to relocations here, these will include new furniture and as well. For the main library, the recommendations include the skylight repair and elevator upgrades, quite slow to get up there, a reorganization of the portion of the public spaces, the Vine Street Plaza, and new atrium stairs. These are really very significant ones. So an image by FRCH that they prepared a little while back of what the plaza could be, and showing an illustration before prepared with a bottom left image of Boston Public Library, shows another large atrium and a stair. How do you get upstairs? They're one of the biggest questions people ask. There will be done. And then reorganizing and doing a light makeover of a portion of public spaces. The real emphasis from board input and staff was to really do the lion's share of investment into the branches. There's also a recommendation for a mixed use public-private partnership on the Walnut Street side here. This is envisioned to be a revenue, a net positive revenue potential. Here, where you'd be selling land or air rights to this to go for something that would include parking, much needed mixed-use opportunities of housing and or retail, and ideally part of this potential project would be auditorium or meeting spaces that are short here. So while this doesn't require a budget allocation at the moment, we encourage this to move forward similar to the Court and Walnut project. So the published maps show where these are located by color code, and similar to the map that we started showing what the existing facilities are, this is now color coded to the 10-year proposed projects with the images roughly proportioned to their relative size to each other, showing which ones are being expanded and where those are located on the map. Behind the scenes, the technical reports supporting this are the Part 2 branch summaries and Part 3 budget sheets, which include each of the planning zones shown in detail, and each single library location is at least a 2-page spread, if not longer, with the details, including the findings from the report and key pieces. So that is the facility master plan. For everybody who contributed on that, just a little bit of cheers to all of you for with your indulgence. I think that was more than 5 minutes. Sorry about that.
That's quite a report, and we thank you for your service.
And so, thank you, Mr. President. So then, briefly, to show how we're moving forward. So we're not just proud that this will sit on the shelf in the library. This is a call to action, and with the funding in place. Every project has 3 sort of primary efforts to it. The middle, which we all think about, is what architects do. You get a team selected, design, and then they support the construction. But there's also what's called programming, defining what the spaces are and what goes in it, and that is the sort of standard pieces of it. And when you put this into a hypothetical framework that we've seen Laura from the Facilities Committee and others coming out here, looking through the funds raised from today, 2019, past the projects will take more than the last funding comes in 2028 from issue 3, so the projects will continue after that as well. And you see all of these coming. Why aren't they all clustered closer together? It's because you have to pace the projects to coincide with the funding. But there's opportunities to group them, at least from the design standpoint and the planning standpoint, for efficiency. And you want to also plan the capital maintenance projects and other with the design so that you don't have any significant interruptions in service in any cluster of areas. So now we have a new work plan talking about the implementation planning, supporting the extension of the facility master plan, where we're just at the beginning. The first part of that is to come up with what we call a program strategy, and that is a holistic view of all of the projects together. Rather than in the past, when we didn't have this funding opportunity, you would sort of do all the steps, single project by single project, sort of starting from fresh. The idea here is to cluster lots of projects together, create the overarching umbrella, extending all of the input that we've gotten from the master plan today. That's the program strategy. And then we'll look at the work with the branches, get additional input from staff and the community, program these projects coordinated together. So as you go a little bit further to do what's considered design strategy, just how many stories can fit on a site and work well, how will it meet the criteria of having sustainable operations. Thus you can take some of these existing buildings which are already a rabbit warren, and if you had more spaces in complicated ways, well, you might meet a space target, but then you'd have to come up with a building that wouldn't be able to operate well or be sustainably operated. So there's a sort of a feedback loop between what you can do as a pre-design design strategy in the program. And so those are proposed to go forward here. And you need to do the same thing for the main library. Again, we said we've given this funds for the reorganization, and everywhere you look, you say, oh, I'd love to do more, new lighting here, new ceilings. And in general, we can't do that, but with the new entry, there'll be some of that. So trying to define the limits of that work is what will be happening. Part of this work, too, is there are a number of relocations shown here. And so supporting this right away, part of the funding is to have funds for new sites budgeted right away, so that if the opportunity comes, you can jump on it. You can't just hope that a parcel will be available. So having support services for site selections right away. Similarly, the programming, we said there, we're generally talking about the 10-year program, talking about two groups of those in the first 5 years between 2018 and 2023, and those in the second 5 years. And so we're looking to break those into those first clusters. The little wider yellow lines are the ones that we will develop for the sites that are sure full program, and we'll just come up with quick program strategies for the other aspects. 5 years down the line, if they haven't already had an opportunity and need to be revisited, we'll update those and complete the other ones. Part of this at the library simultaneously is going to be over the years to come, evolving the service model to reflect what belongs in each of these libraries. And that working with staff, they're very excited that this doesn't quite fit, trying to do too much, too little in each space, that there can be logic and rationale to how they operate and hours, and that will be developed and informed. Seeing the projects as a family of service, a family of facilities related but different. Important to say what's going forward with the community engagement we've had. We do not need for this program and design strategy any more input. We have the input fresh here and relevant, so we're going to leverage that. For sites that might have opportunities to, if you have new sites potentials here, those are ones that we would suggest going to the community. Following our examples of what we did with Dayton, here the input is great. You don't necessarily need to have too much input for each of these 14 projects going here. The ideal amount is really essentially 2 in the design phases. 1 to share the program refinement, get input on that, the site strategy and design values, and then as the architecture develops, do 1 more round of input there. Proved very effective there, and I think that will work very well here as well. And the library will be working out an effective program for the strategic investments as well. So that was the realm. So on the second part here, there was questions about, I think the general discussion from staff earlier was to do these think it's going to go to the Facilities Committee for further thought to refine which scopes of work should continue to be done in the immediate months ahead. We want to support the projects that are underway here already, so there's no slowing down of those, but to basically get the economies of scale of planning these things together so that we can do things efficiently going forward. So, and any questions?
It's a lot of information.
Well, you've done a very fine job. We appreciate it.
Great.
And I saw many of you pulling out, there are pull-out maps, all of this is represented in the high-level executive summary, and we'll have the other volumes for you by the time we have our facilities committee, so we'll have ample chance to discuss this over the next 5 and 10 years, I'm sure. All right, thank you. I'll get back to the rest of the meeting there. Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay. Oops. Why would I do that? Oh,
You're there.
I'm there. Kim. Oh, that's okay. I'll talk while they figure that out. Hey, all right, there we go. Okay, so going on with my report very briefly, we do have a new data analyst, and that person will be starting in mid-December. The position was created by repurposing existing staffing resources, and they will focus on analyzing and present our data in an understandable manner. It will be an especially important task during our upcoming FMP to help guide staff in making evidence-based decisions and projections, as well as help community members and our stakeholders understand how customers use today's modern public libraries. We anticipate changes to the types and presentations of data to the staff and to you all in the board meetings possibly in 2020. So we'll keep you abreast of that, but we do anticipate having a chance to look at some of that data and maybe make it more visual. It may not change, or some of it might, but we definitely want it to be compelling as we go through this and we look at how things are being
Is
used.
this something other libraries have?
Yes, yes. More and more are doing this as well, and they have like data dashboards, so we might be able to show you some interactive data as well. Again, you know, the data that we have is really good, but it's kind of static, so we're hoping that we'll be able to do it in a way that helps people understand how we use it and what's really going on. A note about public library levies across Ohio, they continue to be very successful. 28 of the 30 were approved in this past November's general election. Successful library issues included 2 new levies, 22 renewals, 2 replacements, and 1 renewal with an increase and 1 replacement with an increase. The average voter approval ratings was 72%. So our library and others remain very popular with voters.
What were the 2 that were not voted in?
They were,
For any reason?
they were very small. There was one in Louisville, Louisville, and then another one in another small rural county, and they lost by tens of votes. And I did talk to the person from the non-Louisville, and she said they hadn't even really run a campaign. They just went out there to see what would happen. But these are communities with a couple thousand folks, so, you know, 10 people voting one way or the other tend to swing an election. So they were also close. Yeah, absolutely. A note about a legislative update on a House bill, HB 76. So this is a lot of information, but it's an important one for us. It is sponsored by Representative Derek Marin, and he is proposing property tax levy rate in dollars for each $100,000 of fair share market value instead of in dollars for each $100 of taxable value. So to sort of translate that, the Ohio Library Council is advising that the changes will cause some confusion and misunderstanding by voters. So if you think about when we go out for a levy, we tell you it'll be a certain amount for every $100,000 that you owe in your house. And Representative Marin is suggesting a different way of doing that, which would be a little less straightforward. And some of the issues around it, ballot language is technical in nature. It's not really meant to be an accurate estimate of the taxes owed by everybody if the levy passes. Instead, the current ballot language describes the taxes that will be levied on behalf of the taxing entity. So the use of $100,000 in value for tax purposes presents opportunities for the miscalculation of the taxes for an individual taxpayer, particularly when using that term for fair market value.
Now, sale prices are go up and down.
Exactly, it varies quite a bit, so it can be unintentionally confusing possibly. And the requirement that the county's auditor's estimate of annual collections be in the ballot language is misleading. For instance, as values in an area go up, the millage rate collected by the county auditor will go down. Again, the purpose of the language in the current law is to direct the county auditor in collecting the taxes, not really to indicate to voters exactly how much they're going to pay. So Mrs. Lamacchia, that's your point. Differences among taxpayers' levies and properties mean the calculations of the actual taxes on an individual property derived from a levy will vary widely. So it's currently being heard in the Senate General Government and Agency Review Committee. Proponent testimony is scheduled to occur, and it has occurred in early December, and I think that they're still on track for that opposition to be mid-December, and I do know that OLC is planning to testify in opposition to the bill. So it doesn't have an immediate impact on us in terms of any monies we'll receive, but when we go out for an additional levy here, or anybody else who's got levy language, again, it's kind of overly complicated and will be more difficult, we think, for taxpayers to understand exactly what they'll be paying and to actually help them understand what they will be paying. Yes, Nate?
What do you think was his intent? What was he trying to make it, did he think this is simpler?
I think he was trying to be extremely straightforward in helping people understand exactly what they're going to pay, but it is overly complicated, and the property values go up and down so
Yeah,
much.
that's the problem.
Yes, so it's not that I believe he was ill-intended necessarily. I think he was very intended to try and make it a transparent situation, but it's maybe not quite as A to B as you would think when looking at this initially. So we'll keep you updated on that. And OLC has put out some call to actions, and if anybody on the board is interested in further information or contacting anyone, let me know, and we're happy to do that, and I'll keep you informed.
And if this goes through, are we grandfathered in with our levy on property taxes, or will ours have to adjust, or do you know?
It won't change the amount, but when we go in 2023, it will change the way that we may be forced to try and explain it to people. So if we go for our renewal in a couple of years, it will impact we will not necessarily have that ability to say, it's going to be this much per $100,000 of value. It will be
But once the levy that we have, our long-term levy, that will stay the same based on taxable
yes,
funds.
yes. And really, this would stay the same. It's just going to confuse people that it would stay the same. They may feel like, what is this different than it was, because the language would appear different. Yeah. Okay, and that, I believe, is the end of my report, and I don't have any action items.
Good, we'll move on to the Human Resources Committee, Nadine Allen.
Wait a minute, I think you might.
Well, I think we were going to vote to accept David's,
Do you want to do?
yeah, we might want to do that just to, in spirit to
I'll move
accept
to
it.
accept your report.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Next, Human Services. 2020 salary increases. Upon our current compensation plan, staff are eligible to receive pay increases based on their performance reviews, which are completed each year between February and March. The 2020 budget increase includes a merit budget of 3%. Each manager is responsible for allocating the increases within their respective departments and branches, and the amount allocated may vary as it is based on performance. Due to previous challenges in being able to adequately recognize exceptional performance, we will again include an additional 0.25% for managers' discretion in recognizing exceptional performers. It is also recommended that the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Director be eligible for a merit increase that is up to the equivalent percentage budgeted for staff. The funding associated with this plan will be included in the budget outlined in the Facilities, Finance, and Audit Report. Mary Jane Romaine Coombe Director Review Process. A review of the past year's performance of the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Director as it pertains to initiatives as well as core competencies that lead to the fulfilling the mission and vision of the library was conducted. OLC membership dues assistance. Based on common practice among Ohio Public Libraries as well as a recommendation from the Staff Engagement Survey, it is recommended that the library offer financial assistance for Ohio Library Council from now on OLC membership dues. The recommended amount will be 50% of the membership cost per staff member. For members costing more than $90, There will be a maximum of $45 per participating staff member. OLC's membership dues are graduated based on the self-reported salary of members, meaning that an OLC membership rate of $40 for those reporting an annual salary of between $10,000 to $17,999 will be reimbursed $20, and a membership rate of $90 for those reporting an annual salary of between $40,000 to $59,999 will be reimbursed $45. Membership rates above $90 will only be reimbursed to the maximum $40 to $5 per staff member. Internal communication guidelines. In an effort to provide framework and guidance around our many new options for internal communication, Human Resources and Strategy have collaboratively developed internal communications guidelines. These guidelines will provide common ground expectations on how we can be successful when engaging with these new tools. The policy is currently being reviewed by the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office and will be presented for approval at the February board meeting. United Way of Community Shares campaign results. The United Way and Community Shares annual campaigns ended October 19th. The final numbers received from United Way and Community Shares are United Way, $6,284, Community Shares, $2,137. Staff and Recognition program held November 10th, 2019. The 7th annual Staff and Retiree Recognition Program was held at the main library on Sunday, November 10th. Service recognition pins were passed to all staff reaching a 5-year increment anniversary. Board President, Mr. Robert Hendon, announced Melissa Gardner, Children's Librarian at the Elmwood Branch, as the Rookie of the Year. Joe Nana presented the Impact Award and the Bunny Dana Prize to Kalani Parks, Reference Librarian in the Information and Reference Department. Over 300 staff and their guests were present to receive recognition or acknowledge those who were being honored for their accomplishments. Was there any new item in here? Do I need to, we voted upon your salary and,
I think we need to get a full vote from the board for
Yes.
them as well, is that correct?
Yeah, I think just to be
Yes.
safe,
I think
so-
just to be safe.
okay,
we're
so
gonna do
I
it.
would
All
move,
right, move
that-
to accept.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to Facilities and Finance and Audit Committee.
There are a lot of numbers in here that I was gonna skip, so,
We're getting tired of hearing.
Yeah, do you want to do it, Molly?
No, I will,
Yeah.
It's long, it's 6 pages, so I'll prepare
Yeah,
everybody
there's
ahead of
some-
time. I'll
Yeah.
try to be as brief as possible. The Facilities and Finance and Audit Committee met on November 12th. Committee members Monica Donut Conan and Nadine L. Allen, along with Board President Robert G. Hendon, were in attendance. Staff members Paula Bremheger and Molly DeFosse were also in attendance. The first thing we have is revision of the 2019 estimated resources and annual appropriations. We're looking to increase intergovernmental revenue by $1.9 million. And then a combination of expense changes, a decrease in salaries of $750,000, a decrease in retirement benefits of $100,000, decrease of insurance benefits $250,000, decrease in purchased and contracted services of $400,000, decrease in other objects of $100,000, and all of that will offset with an increase to transfers out of $3.5 million. So the net is an increase of $1.9 million. In Building and Repair Fund, increase the transfers in by the $3.5 million that we just got from the general fund, and then increase supplies in the Armstrong Fund by $2,000. And these changes are, as we noted earlier, the PLF coupled with better than anticipated tax collections resulted in favorable variances in governmental revenue. And then the other expense items came in under budget, but based on the overall FMP needs exceeding available funding, and in the interest of front-loading the projects, we are requesting a transfer out from the general fund of $3.5 million, offsetting the savings. Also, we're requesting an increase in the building and repair transfers by the 3.5 and the Armstrong Fund of 2,000. The Armstrong Fund is related to the higher than expected attendance at the staff recognition event. requesting the authorization to transfer the funds, mentioned above, the 3.5 million, between the two funds is requested. An update on the energy retrofit project. Approve the modified contract amount for trade contract 5 HVAC upgrades for the Geiler Company, originally reported at $2,387,815 to $2,393,315. The contracts for the energy retrofit project were approved in April, and we recently discovered a discrepancy in the reported amount. There's a table there with 3 change orders for the retrofit project. The first one is for preferred fire protection for $9,376.55. The second one is Atkins and Stang for $9,869. And the last one is to Geiler Company for $3,190. Little update, the boilers are installed and operational. The new air handlers have been delivered, and the fire suppression system has been installed on the 3rd and 1st floors. The next thing is the annual request for qualifications. So we're requesting authorization to publish the following notice. The library must annually request statements of qualifications from all 3 types of professional service firms in order to hire an architect, surveyor, or engineer for a project with professional fees of less than $50,000. I'm not going to read the whole ad, but it's right there. The next thing is revision of permanent fund principal balances. During 2019, in the ABLE Fund, we received $1,727.80, and in the King Fund, $1,000. So we are increasing the principals in each of those funds accordingly. We are asking for authorization to revise the appropriations as needed from now until the end of the year to close out the 2019 general fund, and any revisions will be reported to the board in February of 2020. And for the 2019 unencumbered balance, approve that all unencumbered funds in the general fund as of December 31st, 2019 be carried forward in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code section 3375.40L, which states that the Library Board of Trustees may at the end of any fiscal year, unless doing so would be contrary to law, set aside any unencumbered surplus remaining in the general or any other fund of the Free Public Library under its jurisdiction for any purpose, including creating or increasing a special building and repair fund, or for operating the library or acquiring equipment and supplies. We are anticipating an unencumbered balance of approximately 14 to 15 million to carry forward to 2020. This includes an operating contingency of 1.75 million, representing the allowable 3% of the budget, and approximately 12.25 to 13.25 million available for operations in 2020, which equates to slightly more than 2 months of operating expenses. Subsequent to the committee meeting on November 12th, the bids for the Price Hill Branch Accessibility Project were opened on November 19th. In total, the bids exceeded the estimate by 22%, which exceeds the allowable 10% variance and requires the library to rebid the project. The library has worked with the construction manager and the architect to update the estimates. Based on the result of bidding and the current market, we are requesting the project budget, excluding furniture and activation of the front lawn, be increased from $6 million to $7.3 million. And the rebid is, the advertisement is listed there with the updated trade contract information. And just a few little updates. The Ohio checkbook. We recently submitted a test file with all of the 2018 data to the Treasurer of State Office to begin the beta site for the library on Ohio checkbook. We hope to have the project completed early in 2020 and update the site with 2019 data shortly thereafter. At the committee meeting, we did talk a little bit about the facility master plan, but we've already had that update. And then property opportunities, we've been working with Cushman Wakefield to identify options in line with the FMP output. There are many challenges to finding available affordable property in the areas where improvement is needed. One project to note is the expansion of the Deer Park branch to a larger space in the same retail center. The library is working to develop an estimate for improvements and plans to bring the lease to the February 2020 board meeting for approval. And I will need a motion second and a
Do we have
roll
a
call.
motion to recommend?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
I need to do a roll
Oh,
call.
we do roll call.
Yeah, Miss Allen?
Here.
You mean aye?
Aye. Yeah. Ms. Coe.
It's happened before. It's happened before.
Ms.
Don't-
Redden. Mrs. Lamacchia.
Yes.
Mr. Hendon.
Aye.
Is there an
yes.
area in Deer Park available for them to expand?
There is, so I don't know,
Yes,
Diana's
public
familiar with
record? Is
it.
public information?
Well, we were talking to
Yeah.
them enough that it is something we're exploring, and I don't think we're looking at the Dillon Vale Shopping Center, which is where the current branch is in that
Yeah.
small 5,000 square foot. I think it was a TJ Maxx that
Yeah.
used to be down the way,
Yes.
and they've moved out, and the landlord is really interested and motivated to see if we can work with them to do a larger,
That's a pretty big piece of,
it is, it really, and it has a dock and some other things as well. So we're going to, part of the reason we're trying to schedule a meeting is to sort of see what we can do. And the thing that we're discovering fairly quickly is all of these opportunities, real estate moves quick when it's a hot real estate market. So
really
we're
hot.
trying to move as quickly as we can and assess what's possible, but not lose opportunities by kind of thinking too much in advance. So there are some options for getting.
you're gonna give us a break on the rent?
Oh, yeah.
Very good deal.
Heavily, yes.
He's under a lot of pressure from that community
Oh,
to get it together, the whole shopping center, for cleanliness and to get some more business.
yeah, it kind of went down a little bit.
Yeah, it's awful clean, and he's under a lot of pressure from the township.
Yep.
And one thing we heard loud and clear at several community meetings, but Deer Park in particular, is they really were interested in having more room for their families and their kids. And if you remember, Deer Park is where we've done the pop-up preschool as a sort of area that has some, maybe what people don't always realize, that their kindergarten readiness scores in Deer Park are not as high as some other neighboring communities, and they're actually, at the time we looked at it, were a little lower even, like, than CPS. So we went there to do that work and have discovered there's a real appetite for service to kids and literacy and early
Yes,
childhood
Because
prep.
the closest library doesn't have access for strollers.
Yes. It's like you were at the meeting. And of course, the
No,
other.
we've heard that for many years.
And the other great thing about the Deer Park situation is, one huge benefit there is parking and more parking, which, as we all know, is a major issue at almost every location, and that location has lots of parking. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions around that report, just to make sure?
All right, we'll move on to the Strategy Committee. Elizabeth Lamacchia.
Well, what happened to operations?
Oh, we had to move strategy up because we realized that we are asking for, it will be an action item,
Oh.
because we do have some
Oh.
Oh,
artwork.
did I screw up?
No, I did. No,
Okay.
the report is the same.
Yeah, that was,
yeah.
that was going to be one of my questions.
Yes.
Is it a permanent donation?
It is a permanent
Oh,
donation, but not permanent display, and when we get to, I can pass this around.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that, I threw you guys for a loop, yeah.
Okay. The Strategy Division spent the month of November working with the staff for the launch of the Facility Master Plan, and marketing has been working on creating the materials that the staff can use about the plan, and marketing also developed a communication plan to focus on new and as well as the existing opportunities. This is to raise awareness about the plan with the public. In addition to this, strategy also distributed an endorsement letter to the Community Advisory Council on the staff advisory teams requesting that they show support for the plan. In an effort to demonstrate how the plan is connected to other initiatives in the city, the library is going to join the Cincinnati 2030 District as a community partner. This is an initiative in Mayor Cranley's State of the City address. He wants to create a network of healthy, high-performing buildings in the city of Cincinnati. And all the participating members are supposed to make a commitment to reduce their building's use, their energy use, water consumption, and transportation emissions by 50% in the next 10 years. And as a community partner, the library will commit to assisting this by facilitating the knowledge and sharing and providing networking opportunities. Only 2 cities in Ohio have joined, Cincinnati and Cleveland. Is that the city of Cleveland, or is this just the city as opposed to the council?
It's just-
As opposed to the county?
It's just the city in both cases, yes,
okay.
ours and theirs.
So we have, not only do we have a vision for our own library, we have a vision for the town, too. Dolly Parton has an imagination library. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
And this is to provide free books to all Ohio children under the age of 5, and Governor DeWine is partnering with it. And as part of this initiative, the Cincinnati Children's Hospital is going to expand their geographic reach for the Imagination Library efforts from the city, from just the city to the whole county. And it's supposed to start in spring of 2020. And the library is going to support Children's Hospital in this help by helping to enroll families at our different branches. And different initiatives are being explored, such as having the library branches host graduation ceremonies for children who turn 5 and complete the program, and also to continue some of the program after they have reached 6, aged out. As we know, the Macmillan publishers have imposed new ebook licensing rules on libraries. The library has sent emails to all its customers who've checked out the digital materials, and the email has had an 80% open rate, and the blog posts have had 4,000 views so far. We've also sent out messages to the social media channels, and we've also joined with other libraries across the country to express our more than concern, and ask the Macmillan libraries to come up with a less onerous alternative. The county commissioner, Denise Driehaus and John Cranley, signed a statement at our request about the importance of equitable access to our digital content. And this statement was circulated by the Urban Libraries Council, and so far 100 elected officials have signed it. And also Paula spoke about the issues on WVXU Cincinnati edition last month. This is where we come to the artwork. That's where I had a question. Is it a permanent or just a temporary piece of art? Do you want to
Sure,
explain
it is a temporary quilt that can be folded up. So it's art that you could hang on the wall, but it can be stored, and it's holiday themed. So if you take a look at it, you'll see Mr. Scott has sent us pictures where it's all laid out, but it is not anything that he's requesting that it be permanently displayed, but he is saying we can permanently
have it?
How
Okay.
large is it?
Okay.
He has it in there. I don't know if I have it in here or not. It's not huge. It's like a wall hanging. It might be, I think it might be 4 feet max length, but it's not huge.
And it is an actual quilt.
Yeah.
It was
is.
created in 1983 by Gary Armstrong, who apparently has work in major museums and institutions around the country, and is also the only artist in the world to have the artwork placed on the surface of the moon. Now, what on earth went on the moon?
I know, but not
quilt?
this, not that. I think he has another, yes. I couldn't resist putting that in there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, our pop-ups in the atrium of the main library for the month of November, we had 120 customers learn more about the No Theater, the Falcon Theater, the Peak Art Gallery. They had a focus on costume design, costume making, and preparations of costumes for performances. They actually had 3 evening and weekend performances that attracted more than 100 people. The Cincinnati Fringe Festival favorite, Paul Strickland, performed Tall Tales. Blase from Black Coffee performed her music, Life is Love, and the Peak Art Gallery provided 2 performances. Our December pop-up focus is making a do-it-yourself activities. Are they Christmas, Hanukkah-inspired activities, or do you know?
They're paper chains, right? They're kind of all over the place, yes.
Yeah, some of them are holiday themed and some of them are, there's like a
Just-
soap making
Yeah.
thing, so some of them are more general.
I think the staff has displayed some of them on the stand-up walkie, the deskies at the entrances of the Vine Street, so they have really, I've seen people doing it. It's like the games. I've actually seen people down there, adult people making chains,
I think this
like
week
art.
it's window clings.
Yes,
So
right.
like they
Oh,
can make
those things that go on the windows.
Yeah.
Decorations put on the
okay.
windows.
There's going to be a free jazz concert with the Chris Comer Trio in the downtown main library on December 15th from 2 to 3:30 in the Reading Garden Lounge. The Way Foundation, what an appropriate name, is bringing penguins to the public library locations for children to see these animals close up. I guess they can pet them if it's that close. They'll be downtown at the main library December 27th from 3 to 4 p.m., and they will be at 10 of the branch libraries. We have an Inventors and Entrepreneurs Network that provides community members with the opportunity to network with like-minded creative people. There will be a meeting in the Tower Room at the main library on January the 7th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And Green Township is celebrating its 30th anniversary with an open house, which will include refreshments, a ceremony, games, doors. And it's going to be between noon and 2 o'clock on January the 11th. Because we have the summer program for children in that summer slide, to free up that time area, we're moving the adult programming to the winter. And so the library's first ever checkout challenge will run January 17th through February. And the goal is to increase awareness and use of library resources. The adult customers can choose one of 4 tracks: audio, do-it-yourself, film, TV, and reading. And it will culminate in a celebration in the first week of March. They're even going to get a tote bag. The Harriet Tubman Straight Out of the Underground will be hosted by a one-woman interactive storytelling by the Children's Theater of Cincinnati at the Wyoming branch on February 6th from 4 to 5.
And
I move that this is accepted.
And I do apologize about
For
not
the
having
quilt.
the dimensions for the artwork. I can get those to you.
No, don't
but-
worry about it. We don't have to vote on that, do we? Except
Yeah, we have to vote on the quilt.
To the art, yeah.
Second? Is the
Second.
artwork okay?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, informational, those were action items, now informational items. Operations Committee,
Yep, that's me.
Diane Cunningham.
Construction Manager,
Red.
John Nestor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself and my work here at the library. As mentioned, my name is John Nestor, and I've been working with the library since July as the library's capital project manager. Since beginning with the library, I've been working with our various design and construction management professionals to coordinate, manage the construction design efforts for Price Hill and Walnut Hills projects. I've had the pleasure to lead our staff and work personally with Mr. Hendon to qualify, select Megan Construction as our construction manager at risk for the Walnut Hills renovation and expansion project. I've also been involved with G4 and Champlin Architecture for the development of the facilities master plan. As a West Side Cincinnati native raised in Cheviot, I'm proud to have graduated from LaSalle High School in 2004 and to have graduated from The Ohio State University in 2009. Upon graduation in the spring of 2009 during the economic downturn, I was fortunate to begin working with G. Stevens Incorporated. They were a small private construction management firm based out of Akron, Ohio. While there, I spent 3 years working on a wide array of projects. Some notable projects include the OSU Regional Airport Expansion Project, the High Street Underground Water and Wastewater Main Rehabilitation Project, the Dublin Road Water and Wastewater Treatment Plant renovation, and the new build of the Plain City Elementary School renovation and expansion of the Canaan Middle School, which were both completed as LEED Gold and LEED Silver certified projects. After spending 3 years in the private sector, I moved back to Cincinnati to marry my wife and high school sweetheart and start a family. I then began work with the Department of County Facilities starting in 2012. I spent 7 years with Hamilton County, proudly serving as the Assistant Project and Trades Manager. While there, I supervised 15 union trades employees that maintain 3 million square feet of county-owned facilities, while also managing and overseeing the capital improvement projects. Some notable capital improvement projects I worked to complete include the Job and Family Services Building Flooring and Furniture Replacement Project, the Hamilton County Courthouse Roof Replacements Project, the Justice Center Camera and Security Matrix System Replacement Project, a full campus facility energy retrofit project, a Juvenile Correction Center Camera Replacement Project, and the 911 Communications Center Electrical Switchgear Cleaning and Preventative Maintenance Project. Each project I've been on is structured around your team members. The success of each project begins with collaborative project planning and design implementation. My role will be to serve and lead our library staff through each step of the construction process to ensure that the library and our community's input are reflected and incorporated into each final project design. Once the design has been achieved and the project is under contract, I turn my focus towards executing the plan from groundbreaking to project closeout. As the library's capital project manager, I review, document, communicate project updates to the library leadership and staff project team members. This includes reviewing and monitoring project schedules, budgets, submitted project documentation, working with government entities for project permitting processes, attending project meetings, and coordinating involvement of third-party consultants, contractors, or vendors. My focus has always been towards fiscal stewardship, schedule management, and quality control. It's an honor to present my history and current work tasks with each of you today. I look forward to serving the library and its patrons for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on for the rest of the report, update on the collection at the main library. Angela Farmer has agreed to work with the library as a consultant to help guide the evaluation of our extensive collection with a particular focus on the main library. Angela worked for the library for over 30 years before retiring in 2015, working in a variety of roles from library assistant to children's librarian to manager at branches in Maine, including managing the information and reference department. The final years of Angela's career were spent as a regional manager, supervising multiple Maine library departments and branches in the city's urban core. She possesses an extraordinary understanding of the Maine Library's print collection. Angela's 6-month contract with the library, averaging 20 hours per week, is the first step in addressing issues which were discussed in the 2019 August Operations Committee report related to the failure of the movable shelving, which has a multi-million-dollar repair or replacement cost, and the subsequent need to address the increasingly limited storage in our main library stack area. While the shelving failure is an exacerbating issue, there is a need for overall careful, thoughtful review of the library's holdings. Angela will meet with key library staff, many of whom are involved in discussions related to this issue earlier in 2019. She will then be engaged in hands-on activity alongside our expert staff, evaluating items with the goal to ensure the library maintains an outstanding and representative collection while also right-sizing our holdings.
That's the best news of the whole board meeting.
Should have moved that to the front. Should have let you bury the lead.
All right, Technology Committee, that would be,
Monica,
Yeah.
Karen isn't here.
Okay.
yeah, Monica.
Okay, happy to do that. Featured Book of the Month. For a decade, the library has issued the Featured Book of the Month to promote titles throughout the county. Each location receives multiple copies for display of individual titles chosen by our material selection librarians. In February, the library will embark on a new promotional strategy using the titles selected by Library Reads, which is a list of 10 titles chosen monthly by librarians around the country. With this new program, we will purchase enough additional copies of these titles for branches to have a permanent Library Reads display. Not only will the Library Reads program give our customers what they've been requesting,
more diversity of titles to browse, it will save over $60,000 per year.
Good.
That's a good thing. Hot author purchasing strategy. The library's purchased hot author titles using a ratio of 3 holds to purchase 1 copy. With extensive list of customers automatically placed on hold for hot authors, this method of purchasing has resulted in the purchase of many, many copies of certain popular authors' titles. The strict ratio method of purchasing has gotten items to our customers quickly. It was also developed before newer tools for analyzing customer wait time and habits were developed that allow for more nuanced understanding of how long people actually wait for items. Additionally, it results in an excess of books once the holds list has been satisfied. While some of these excess books continue to receive solid use, certainly not all are needed once initial demand diminishes. We are experimenting with the method of buying enough copies to fill the holds limits based on what appears to be a reasonably fast wait time most customers find tolerable, no more than 90 days, rather than purchasing strictly to the holds ratio. So far, it does not seem our customers have been adversely impacted or have necessarily noticed the changed buying pattern, and the library stands to save over $100,000 yearly. Another good move.
Does this mean that you're buying less copies of the bestsellers?
Yeah, I'm looking at Holbrook. So Amy Long, who is in our material selection, she's done a great job of looking at these new tools to really figure out how long people will go, I'm waiting, and then at some point people begin to bail out. And we don't want them to bail out, but we do want to do it in a way that is responsible. So Amy and Holbrook have worked this up and have been looking at it. And they started with the 3 top authors and reducing them by like 50 copies and a little bit more as we go along. So we'll find the moment at which people will go, oh, I'm not waiting anymore. And we don't want to lose those customers, but we do want to have a buying pattern that keeps them, but allows us to spread that money out. I don't know, Holbrook, if you want to add anything else to that or not.
That's right. It just sort of changes the way that we look at it from going from this very strict holds ratio, which doesn't have anything to do with wait time, to just seeing how long people are willing to wait. Not to extend their wait time too long, but I think that it has worked so far and will continue to work.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see how many copies
Yeah.
of these bestsellers end up at the Friends warehouse.
Yeah, and we have
When they're not bestsellers anymore.
Absolutely. And we have heard that, and it is a small number of authors, and we will continue to see a good number of them. The only thing we're slightly worried about is the ebook impact, because we do wonder if people who had bailout on a print hot author and had started using ebooks may not want to wait and may go back. You know, we see a lot of move between print and ebook. People don't pick one or the other. And if they can't get an ebook from us at all, they may go back, and it may increase the number of people using that collection. So we'll watch it, but we thought it was important that you understood we are trying to use some of our newer tools to make that yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Holds Locker to Oakley. The main library Holds Locker pilot launched in the atrium in January 2019. While usage has been consistent, the total number of customers using the lockers has been less than what we had hoped. This purchase was also made when there was the possibility for a portion of the atrium to be glassed in as a large lobby accessible after regular business hours. Due to the FMP process, the plan to create an after-hours space for customers to pick up their holds was postponed and will be a consideration as part of the larger Vine Street Plaza renovation. This pause gives us the opportunity to try the lockers at a branch location in a true after-hours setting. The Oakley branch was chosen for its large lobby, which can be made accessible 24/7, robust neighborhood foot traffic, and the fact that there are no Sunday hours. The Holds Locker will be relocated by the new year.
Very good. All right, the Development Committee, Monica again.
Okay, do it. All right. First off, more good news. The library received a significant and generous contribution from the David N. and Ann Early Foundation on October 15th to benefit the Marymount Branch Library. The Library Foundation, the Fall Giving Campaign is underway. This initiative started with library staff as part of the United in Sharing campaign. Results from the staff portion were remarkable, with 55% of staff participating, which is 35% higher than in 2018, which is really good. The following donors have made significant contributions to support the library since October. Cincinnati Incorporated Foundation, Best Buy Foundation, Joseph A. and Susan E. Pickler Fund of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, St. Savior Parish, the estate of Jane Wall, and an anonymous donor. Additional grant funding requests have been submitted and are under review. The Friends hosted their fall book sale at the warehouse on October 3rd through the 6th. This was the third highest grossing fall sale in the past 11 years, with revenues 25% higher than in 2018. I like giving these good reports. Okay. The Anderson Township Library Association hosted their November sale on November 7th through 9th at the Anderson Branch Library. Revenues from this sale were 22% higher than in 2018. That's the end of the report.
I wonder why people decided to buy more books at the book sales.
I do not know.
We need to let Anderson know that the Friends need him by 3%.
Friendly competition.
Friendly competition, exactly.
I heard a report that
Good job, Stacy.
millennials or younger people are returning to buying books. There was a report on, I don't know what I was watching, but there has been a noticeable increase in the return to having the book, which I've always preferred anyway, but
It's all the, it's
What
a
is it?
throwback now, I guess. Yeah,
something's going on with
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
having it and being able to look at it and,
if you go to the Friends Warehouse and you look, if you go over to the record bins, which, 10 years ago, whatever, and now there's a bunch of hipster millennials over there, fighting over every kind of weird,
yeah,
like,
the vinyl is a big deal now. The original vinyl with
Yeah.
scratches and all
Yeah.
the noise.
I
That's a
know.
big deal.
Who knew Chuck Mangione on album would be
Oh,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
the coolest thing ever, but it has
Those
happened.
in their albums like 20 or 30 years ago.
Yes, I know.
And you could make bowls, you put them in.
Yeah, sorry, you can let us go on, yeah.
All right, we have consent items.
So moved.
We have to approve,
We need a second.
Oh,
we have to approve the consent items. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The consent items are approved. A motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That meeting's adjourned.